Before anything else, I gotta talk to y'all about the absolutely unhinged filler episode that happens before the intro of the Ginyu Force. Right after Zarbon gets smoked, we cut back to King Kai's planet where Piccolo and the C team are finishing up their training. King Kai tells the crew that he can sense a number of massive power levels heading to planet Namek, and his intuition tells him that it's the Ginyu Force, a covert but extremely fearsome strike team that Frieza uses in his planetary takeovers to get the job done ASAP when the situation calls for it. Yamcha tells King Kai that now that they've been through his training, the only force they're gonna be is forced back home. Good one, Yamcha. This fella's an absolute comedian now, huh? And the funniest part of this whole thing wasn't even Yamcha's musty-ass joke, but the fact that King Kai heard it and stared at Yamcha like he was a Terminator. King Kai knew in no uncertain terms that he was looking at the very least no less than 3 dead men walking. And if we're keeping it a buck, probably 4, because even though Piccolo's nice with it, he low-key is a major cap god at this point in the series, right along with Vegeta. Following this, we cut to Namek, where we see Gohan looking to return to the hideout after he scooped up the Dragonball Vegeta-san hid away from Menace Lord Frieza. Vegeta senses Gohan as he makes his way towards his goal, giggling like a schoolgirl at the prospect of making his immortality wish. Gohan, quickly realizing something very wrong is approaching, attempts to hide under a nearby piece of land in hopes of Vegeta passing him by. It's not his lucky day though, as Vegeta is aware that something is nearby and threatens to smoke the entire block if whoever's hiding doesn't show their face. Realizing that Megamind is unhinged and will absolutely nuke this entire area without a second thought, Gohan reveals himself, hiding the Dragon Ball nearby and praying Vegeta doesn't see it. What happens next is one of the strangest things I have ever peeped in the series. So Vegeta slowly begins descending toward the ground and immediately recognizes Gohan as the son of Kakarot. Vegeta tells Gohan that he just got done paying a visit to his friends. Gohan immediately starts to get aggro, yelling at Vegeta with some bass in his voice, telling him he better not have laid a finger on his friends. Vegeta chuckles, telling Gohan that the bald man gave up the ball without a fight and that he was feeling merciful since all the balls were now in his possession, but he can absolutely be convinced with little effort to run their fate if he insists. Vegeta sees the Dragon Radar in Gohan's hands and begins questioning him on the purpose of that device. Due to the excessive number of concussions he suffered from the battle on Earth, the only lie Gohan could think of was to tell him that it was an antique watch. Vegeta stares at Gohan like Superintendent Chalmers for a bit before deciding to move things forward and ask Gohan what his pops has been up to, like he's little buddy's uncle at the barbecue who hasn't seen him in a minute. Gohan tells this weirdo that his pops isn't here and he hasn't seen him in a long time, and this dude starts cooking up Goku's skills as a father for neglecting little mans. Then this man Vegeta puts his hand on this young boy's head like he's a mentor or a father figure, acting like he didn't just call his pops out of his name less than 10 seconds ago. Dude continues talking, telling Gohan that they're the last of the Saiyans, that they're basically brothers, and I crap you not, dude slowly starts caressing Gohan's cheek. Then the scene freezes on Vegeta's face as he stares at Gohan for like a solid 6 seconds, no blinking, mouth half open. And bruh, Gohan's eyes are absolutely bugging at this point. His whole body's twitching. I promise you I want to call Chris Hansen and have Vegeta take a seat. I don't know what kind of time this man was on, but I promise you he needs to be in a registry the way he was looking at this child's eyes. Then out of nowhere, this man grabs this kid's head and knees him with an absolutely vicious shot to the gut. That man was waiting to do that to Gohan since he took that Uber off planet Earth, I promise you. This man Vegeta then starts roasting Gohan, saying that he's even more gullible than his father. Whole time I'm sitting there watching this like, man, what? You're acting like little bro had a choice. The moment you saw dude, you were acting strange. Started invading his personal space and then you assaulted him. What was he supposed to do? If little homie fought back at any point, your sorry ass would have had him sleeping with the Namekian fishes pronto. But I digress. Vegeta flies off geeking, thinking that he has all the Dragon Balls, and once the coast is clear, Gohan collects himself, trying to mentally recover from the crazy ass encounter, and heads back to meet Krillin and Bulma. Gohan arrives with the Dragon Ball, informing them that he almost got bad touched by Vegeta, but thankfully he made it out largely in one piece. Krillin and Bulma decide that the best thing to do at this point is to find a new hideout because they know Vegeta's going to be knocking on that front door none too kindly after realizing he got duped. Krillin also tells Gohan about the Guru and how he wants Gohan to meet him in order for his potential to be unlocked as well. Vegeta flies back to the location he left the Dragon Ball he yoinked off Frieza, jumps in the water, searches for a while, but for the life of him, he cannot find where he left it. Then he begins thinking and realizes that he may have just gotten played by that Earth boy, recalling Gohan's discomfort and dodginess during their recent encounter. He also thinks back on the strange device Gohan had and realizes that those weren't steamed hams at all, but in actuality, there was some kind of Dragon Ball locator device. Vegeta flies out the water looking more pissed than when he first discovered his Widow's Peak and immediately beelines to Krillin and Bulma's old location. He finds it empty, blows the entire place up, and vows to wipe each of those those Earthlings off the map slowly and painfully. Shortly after this, we're treated to some filler episodes with Bulma on a quest to retrieve a Dragon Ball she let fall in the water, and the homie Goku finishing up his training and giving the audience a PSA on the dangers of alcohol and how it's much better to have a nice refreshing sports drink instead. We fast forward and Krillin and Gohan are fast approaching the Guru, but there's one little problem. Vegeta's right at their heels and he's pissed. Krillin tells Gohan that he'll stall for time and then go straight to Guru's house because his unlocked power might be the only chance they have to take on Vegeta. Vegeta arrives and immediately begins pressing Vin Diesel for the ball that ganked off him. Before he's able to stick his white Saiyan air maxes through the man's chrome dome, he senses significant power coming from Guru's hideout and decides that's more important than what he has going on now. As Vegeta arrives, the Guru is putting the finishing touches on Gohan's unlocked potential, expressing how Gohan has more latent power than anyone he's ever met. While waiting outside, the power level registers so high that Vegeta assumes that it's Goku in the building and he starts lacing up for round 2. Imagine his surprise when little homie with the bowl cut walks out of the building staring him dead in his eyes. Vegeta stares in disbelief and starts showcasing his Napoleon complex, daring all of them to jump him at once to show him how unbothered he is. Nail's getting real sick of this 4'4" menace coming to his home and talking all disrespectful, but before he can knock the coins out of him, they all of a sudden sense a strong power level about to make a landing on the planet. After sensing these power levels, I cannot even begin to explain to you how fast the spirit of bitch madness entered Vegeta's body, but he goes from I'm ready to take on the whole squad to let's team up and make a wish on these Dragon Balls real quick fast enough to give you whiplash. His idea is for him, Krillin, and Gohan to gather all the balls that they have and wish for Vegeta to be invincible so that he can take out the incoming threat before they each receive the individualized ass whooping of a lifetime. Krillin says hell no at first, as any reasonable person should, and requests to wish for Gohan to be invincible so he can take him on. I know Gohan had to be looking over at Krillin like, what? Because I know for a fact that they did not discuss this plan beforehand and they threw little buddy right under the bus. Vegeta calls the idea trash though, not because Gohan doesn't have the power, but because he doesn't have the battle experience and the crew there about to go against are straight shooters with an uncountable number of bodies between each of them. Krillin hates the plan with all his heart, but he sees no other way. The only thing consoling him at this point being Nail's revelation that the Namekian balls allow for 3 wishes instead of 1 like Shenron's on Earth. While they work together to gather the balls, the Ginyu Force make their grand entrance, and let me tell you right now, these fellas are different. I know I was calling Zarbon the zestiest character in the series the other day, but the Ginyu Force entered the chat and they may have something to say about that. Each member takes a moment to introduce themselves along with hitting their signature pose. First up, we got the brains of the operation, Recoome, who starts hitting the deepest dab you ever seen. Following that, we have Usain Bolt's cousin, the fastest creature alive, Birder, who hits a symmetrical dab to his bro Recoome. Next up, we got the Thunder from Down Under, Jace, who in addition to supplying us with some really uncomfortable moans, drops to a knee and hits a Y pose in honor of his favorite band, the Village People. Next up is the heartthrob of the group, Guldo, who hits the same pose as his buddy Jace. Then to finish things off, last but certainly not least, we have the venerable Captain Suckass, who is clearly a Meg Thee Stallion fan, twists that ass up and putting his head between his legs in an absolute display of style and dominance. Together, these pillars of strength and masculinity represent the one and only Ginyu Force. The absolute best part of this, though, is when they finish their entrance, Frieza literally blushes and at a loss of words. When you're able to manifest enough cringe into the world that you can make a heartless bastard like Frieza need to take a breather, you know that you are just fundamentally different. After Frieza picks up his jaw off the floor, he gives the Ginyu Force their orders. They are to retrieve the Namekian Dragon Balls and bring the traitorous Saiyan monkey Vegeta back to Frieza, alive. And I gotta say that there's something about Frieza insisting on Vegeta being captured alive that is so much more alarming and sinister than if he flat out requested the Ginyu Force waste him. It captures that aspect of his character perfectly and gives your imagination working in the worst possible ways as to what Frieza might have planned for the guy. Ginyu senses 2 other power levels with Vegeta, and Frieza mentions that they're likely his little Earth buddies and they're free to dispose of them as they wish. With their new orders confirmed, the Ginyu squad begins marching in place, holding up like some kind of flamboyant alien football team, and head off to follow through on their orders. I swear, Frieza's reactions and facial expressions as he peeps the Ginyu Force are absolutely priceless. Dude is just staring at them like he cannot believe he knows these fellas, let alone he keeps them on payroll to do actual business with them. Next, we see Vegeta, Krillin, and Gohan doing their best to gain some distance from the Ginyu Force, who at this point are moving hot on their tail paws. As Vegeta and the rest of the crew finally make their approach to the rest of the balls Vegeta snatched off Frieza, Krillin decides that he's having cold feet now of all times and having second thoughts about handing them over to Vegeta. Vegeta looks at dude like he is out of his mind, and for once, I actually agree with him. You really decide now of all times, as we sit on the precipice of our impending doom, that you all of a sudden don't know about the plan and want to go back to the drawing board? As Vegeta raises his hand to give Krillin the pan of a lifetime, who else rolls out the cup but Ginyu and the rest of the Force, chuckling in unison like they must have practiced it at least 1,000 times beforehand. After the fellas finish cackling, Ginyu asks Vegeta nicely to hand over his Dragon Ball. Vegeta, never being one to go out without making as much of a fool of himself as possible, tells Ginyu over his dead body and attempts to chuck the Dragon Ball halfway across Namek in a last-ditch effort to ensure it doesn't get into Ginyu's clutches. Moments after the ball leaves his hand, the crew enters some kind of weird-ass Max Payne-style bullet time situation as Burger can be seen flying directly above their heads, catching the ball in midair and returning to a spot back in line before the three of them can even register what happened. After peeping this, Vegeta tells Nappa 2 to hurry up and turn that Dragon Ball in his hand into cosmic particles this instant. Man was willing to sacrifice his wish before letting the Ginyus get that thing. That's how you know this man Vegeta was not playing around with these fellas. Krillin decides to actually listen for once in his life, lifts his arm in the air and gets ready to pulverize any dreams they had of returning their dead homies home in the process. I know Yamcha and the rest of them were looking from King Kai's planet in shambles watching what this man was about to do. Lucky for them, the 3'3" sex symbol Guldo was there, using his powers of telekinesis to snatch the ball from Krillin's hands moments before destruction. Vegeta looks back over at the Ginyu Force looking absolutely devastated, telling Krillin and Gohan how word on the street is that Guldo is able to summon Star Platinum and stop time momentarily as a part of a seemingly random assortment of powers. Guldo hands the final Dragon Ball over to Captain Ginyu, and I promise you this next session about had me in tears because the boys start huddling up, getting into an argument about who's going to run Vegeta's fade. This has got to be the most disrespectful conversation I've ever heard in my life. Can you imagine being a grown man having to look in front of you and watch as another group of grown men argue about which of them gets to beat the brakes off you, and you know in your heart you are too damn soft to do anything about it? Krillin suggests trying to run while they draw straws for Vegeta's booty hole, but Vegeta tells Jason Statham that this fate is inevitable and that their only real chance is to hold out long enough until they are able to maybe peep a weakness that one of them has. Recoome wins the right to destroy Vegeta's cheeks, and after this is decided, Ginyu makes his way out of the scene to give the balls to Lord Frieza. Vegeta huddles up with the B team and starts into one of the funniest conversations in Dragon Ball history with Krillin. Vegeta's like, hey yo, ain't Goku supposed to be on his way to save everybody like real soon? And Krillin looks at this man dead in his eyes and is like, yeah, Goku is on his way to save me and Gohan. I don't know what's about to happen to you, buddy. Bro, when he said this, I promise you I had to stop the video for a minute and collect myself. This man Krillin hates Vegeta's guts so bad and is absolutely warranted. Shortly after Vegeta's roasting, the fight begins, with Guldo approaching the front of the group ready to take on Gohan and Krillin. The two fellas begin key charging and Guldo almost gets smoked by the very first attack if it wasn't for Zarbon, allowing him to get around the key blast and make his way around the environment. Guldo begins to quickly regret his life choices and being a big body as Gohan and Krillin have dudes scrambling for his life, second after second, running around Namek's terrain. The whole time the Ginyu Force is up top watching this, literally side betting on if Guldo is going to get his wig pushed back or not. I cannot believe I forgot how hilarious the Ginyu Force are, man. These dudes are absolute clowns and they had me dying since the moment they're introduced. Guldo continues to get rocked and the Ginyu, sick of watching this dude fail, tell homie that if he loses this fight and doesn't finish things up ASAP, he's off the Force, as well as kicked off the now canonical Ginyu Force bowling team. Realizing just how weak he's looking out here and afraid of how his future is going to shape up without those Frieza Force checks, Guldo decides that it's time to get serious and bust out this absolutely broken technique called the Mind Bind, which allows him to telekinetically freeze his opponent in place for an extended period of time. It's absolutely crazy how broken Guldo would be if he didn't have an extra chromosome and if he lifted a weight a day in his life. Dude had Gohan and Krillin dead to rights after getting them in that bind, but instead of just taking his W and calling it a day, dude felt the need to toy with his prey, throwing rocks in their face and just being all kinds of disrespectful. At one point, dude might be guilty of one of the biggest Chris Hansen moments and pause moments in DBZ after he approaches Gohan and asks little dude, oh, you don't mind me pulling your cheeks, how about I pound them instead? I got no words for this, bro. Only thing I can say is that if you let something like that out your mouth, you deserve whatever life brings you. Even Guldo's homies are like, bro, stop with the foreplay and murk these humans already. Guldo, realizing his position on the Ginyu Force bowling team is already on thin ice, decides to wrap things up. Dude finds a local Namekian tree, peels the leaves off, gets it sharp, and hurls it directly at Krillin's head. Can y'all imagine how out of pocket it would have been if this attack actually landed? Dude would have single-handedly raised the age rating of the entire series in seconds. Right before Dwayne Johnson's head gets put on a pike, we cut back to Guldo, who now stands motionless, and later his entire head falls off, being decapitated by Vegeta moments before the attack on Krillin could land. Guldo, before his death, calls Vegeta a cheater and throws in some racial slurs for good measure before Vegeta tells little bro that there are no rules in actual combat before he blows his head to King Yamcha with an energy wave, ending the fight. Krillin tells the prince that he was not expecting a save from him, and Vegeta tells Krillin to shut his bald mouth, and the only reason he did it is because Guldo makes his nuts itch, and next time if they get caught lacking, he is not going to be so lucky. The whole rest of the Ginyu Force stands in shock following what happened to Guldo, not because they're upset about the death of their teammate, but rather him getting faded means they now have to come up with a whole new routine for their choreography, and that issue is going to take forever. From here, Recoome takes his place at the head of the line, while Jason Berger play rock, paper, scissors in front of Goldo's corpse for who gets to kill Krillin and Gohan. In pure rage from the lack of seriousness from the Ginyu Force, Vegeta begins key charging and dashes towards Recoome. He hits Recoome with a crazy right hook, bashes man into the dirt, stomps a hole in Buddy's chest, then grabs dude's legs and gives him the P.D. Pablo treatment, spinning him around his head like a helicopter, launches him, and shoots what looks low-key like a Final Flash before Final Flash existed. But now it's time for a quick DBZ trivia moment, because if you know anything about Dragon Ball Z and the Final Flash specifically, that move statistically has a 0% success rate. That's right, folks. Throughout the entirety of Z, every single enemy that has ever fallen victim to the Final Flash has absolutely lived to tell the tale, making it potentially one of the most garbage finishing moves on the planet. And as you may have guessed, viewer, this battle with Recoome was the start of that trend. At first, everyone thinks that Vegeta managed to take Homie out with that last combo, but after the dust settles, we see Recoome posted up in the zestiest pose this side of the Milky Way galaxy, smiling directly in Vegeta's face. Recoome decides that it's now his time to get his own rocks off. He poses briefly and then nails Vegeta in the face with a knee that he has self-titled the Recoome kick. Vegeta hit the attack button before he landed, so he recovers and bounces back with a combo of his own, but Recoome hits him in the top of his massive cranium with an elbow he has lovingly titled the Recoome Boom. Vegeta tries to gain some distance from Recoome before his Gump is just way too fast and knocks Vegeta in the water, with Krillin on the sidelines thinking that that last attack had to have killed him. I think the worst part of losing to the Ginyu Force is that every time they wash you, they got some kind of comment to make about how dirty they just did you. Like, it's not enough for them to just be way more powerful than you and do you dirty. They also have to make sure they talk as much heat as humanly possible and make you suffer through corny joke after cornball joke just so you're both physically and mentally shattered by the time the fight is over. That's gotta be some kind of war crime. A few moments pass and Vegeta suddenly emerges from the water, moving extremely quickly, and lands a number of seemingly powerful gut shots right to Recoome's midsection. The attacks seem to be having an effect until Recoome is like psych, revealing that he's been pretending to be hurt the entire time before he grabs Vegeta by his waist paws and plants him in the dirt like he's been planning to harvest him for next season. Recoome then grabs Vegeta by his leg like a rabbit freshly pulled from a bear trap, then shortly after gets smoked right in the face with a ki blast by Vegeta. And Vegeta looks so damn tired by this point in the fight, bro. His hair is all messed up, bleeding from every hole in his body, damn near out of energy, and the only people he can rely on are a 6-year-old and his bald uncle. Recoome then begins posing once again, this time for the climax, getting ready to spray Vegeta head to toe with his eraser gun for a satisfying finish. Krillin looks over at Gohan and tells dude, look little bro, whether we interfere or not, we're already dead, so we might as well jump in now and get a lick off before we don't even get a chance to do that. Now I really want y'all to think about how crazy this is. If you were a 6-year-old and you had your dad's homie, who has low-key been your caregiver this entire time, tell you, look young blood, you're gonna die in the next few minutes. The best thing you can hope for is to hurt this man in front of you and hope that you don't die and have it hurt too much, and I'll see you on the other side, little bro. What the actual hell, man? I feel for Gohan so bad. Namek is a literal war zone and little buddy is stuck dead in the middle of it. Recoome readies himself and fires off an eraser gun at Vegeta. Right before he can hit it, Gohan and Krillin make their move. Gohan jumps towards Vegeta and saves him from the blast, and Krillin kicks dude in the face, causing him to explode in his own mouth. Couldn't be me, but riddle me this, y'all. Why didn't they have Gohan get Vegeta out of the blast while Recoome was stuck in place firing off his beam? Then maybe, I don't know, have Krillin prepare a Destructo disc and cut this man in half? And Vegeta must have had the same idea because he starts roasting Gohan and Krillin for saving him rather than taking that moment to melt Recoome, because they are never going to get another chance like that again. Recoome's explosive finish inside of his own mouth causes him to lose a few teeth, but overall he has very little damage. But now this made Gohan and Krillin targets as well. Krillin must have made peace with Kami because he rushes towards Recoome, and Big Homie has dude hitting the Family Guy death animation after a single kick once again, looking like a repeat movie from how Vegeta did him on Earth. Krillin tells Gohan that he's cooked, but at least he got one good hit in, and urges Gohan to get out of there with his life while he still has it. Gohan ain't built that way though, and stands his ground against the animal Recoome, acting as the last hope of the forces of good on planet Namek. But unfortunately, things go as well as you would expect. Recoome absolutely brutalizes the kid, allowing him to get in a hit every now and then for theatrics and fun, but in reality, the kid stands zero chance against Recoome, with it being a hopeless fight from the very beginning. Gohan gets beaten, bruised, and leaves every bit of his blood, sweat, and tears on the soil in an effort to fend off Recoome. Gohan then makes one last hopeless rush towards the barbarian, but is countered and is hit with a devastating kick that snaps his neck, leaving him twitching and nearly comatose on the ground feet away from Recoome.
Fatality.
Vegeta replies at this point there is absolutely zero hope left for him, but right in that instant, a ship can be seen touching ground on the planet's surface, and the situation on Namek is about to change drastically. And here's where we'll stop for today. What y'all think of the intro to the Ginyu Force? I love these characters. They are such a perfect blend of goofiness mixed with brutality. It's really difficult to make characters that both make you laugh, as well as have the ability to create tension to foils as main characters in the story, and the Ginyu Force does this so well. Next time I see you, we'll be covering Son Goku's arrival to planet Namek as he charts a collision course to take care of business and save his friends, hopefully before it's too late. Be easy everyone, and I'll talk to you soon in the next video.